Welcome to today's special video where I'm going to be painting loose expressive chrysanthemums in watercolour and ink. I'll be showing you the difference between using a dip pen and brown ink and a fountain pen with black ink to create stunning contrasts and textures. Plus, I'm thrilled to celebrate the launch of my book, Go With The Flow Painting, now available in French. So grab your brushes and let's dive into this process. In my book Go The Flow Painting and throughout my Skillshare class, I've always favoured using brown ink for its warm earthy tones, but recently I discovered a fountain pen that I absolutely love and thought it would be interesting to compare and contrast the results. Today we'll explore how using brown ink with dip pen versus black ink with a fountain pen can create different effects on top of loose watercolour florals. So let's see how these two approaches can bring a fresh twist to our painting process. So I think what I'm going to do is a version similar to this floral arrangement we've got here, where the flowers are just standing upright rather than in a bunch like this, because that's going to be quite complicated, and I just like working really loose. So let's give this a go. I think I'll start off with these chrysanthemums here on the right. Let's move that out of the way slightly. And let's mix up a lovely pink. It's kind of warm, and in the middle there's this green. So I'm going to show you. I've got my Opera Rose is my absolute favourite. It's not that, you know, it's not a very vivid pink, but we can play around with the colouring of this. It's not a big deal because we're in charge, and this is my sketchbook, and I'll paint what I want. So I need to simplify this. If I turn it around, it's I might do maybe kind of 5 strands. Sort of little half moon shapes almost. I'm kind of just looking at the general shape. I am not overly concerned about getting any of the petals in right now, because I will be able to add those type of details using ink, and I think that's one of the beauties of this technique, because it's very forgiving, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And I've got this one that's sticking out at the end here, and while these are wet, I'm going to mix up some green, a bit of gold green and lemon. Oh, that's not really... I've still got pink on my brush, that's why I hadn't washed it out properly. Oh, I should have sprayed this. The brush that I'm using is a Pro Art quill brush. It's a number 4. Oh, that's a little bit too thick. Hold on. I'm not happy with that. I think I was trying to talk too much. Okay, let's start again. Because I want some of that yellow to mix with the pink. Sorry, I want some of the green to mix with the pink. That joins onto the main stem. I think the main stem comes from this one here, and I'm going to allow the pigments to mix quite freely. This one, I don't know where it attaches. Oh, it's a little bit higher up. Okay, it attaches about here. And while, you know, that's quite a vivid green, I'm going to drop some other greens in there while we're here. This is the Perulean green. It's quite dark just here, and you can see the pigments just mix. I just love it when it does that. I think that's one of the joys of watercolour for me. And there's a few little leaves just sticking out here. Again, it's just a basic shape. I'm not too concerned, because we can add a lot more detail. Oops, didn't mean to add it to the pink. With the ink, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. It's just I don't know, I just feel like it just makes life easier. Where does that stem go? So that maybe comes down to about here. And this one, it was this one, wasn't it? So that comes quite far down. And I'm going to work quite quickly now, just adding extra leaves. So I think I'm going to put this one here in this space, so it's going to go over the gutter. Some people have a problem with gutters, painting over the gutter, but I don't. I just think it's just an area that I can paint on. So this is a little bit paler. I'm going to add a tiny bit of Potter's Pink to this, making a little bit muted. I think that'll do. And because it's much bigger, you know, I can sort of play around with the petals. Let's move this over. And it is paler in the middle. Oh, that Opera Rose is very vivid. Oh yes, yes, I like the shapes that are happening here. Is that the general shape that I'm seeing? There's probably goes down like that a little bit more as well. And I'm going to make a pop of pink just here. I can see the petals on the other side poking through. Okay, that's good. Now let's sort out the stem. It is quite dark under there. I'm going to add a bit more pigment in a little bit. And the leaves are all kind of wrapped around here. Just spread them out a little bit so that I can see them better. So it is dark on this side. There's a leaf there, little leaf there, and there's more happening down here. You can see I'm just kind of letting the brush dance over the surface of the paper. I'm not lingering anywhere too long. Another thing that I forgot to mention is I'm not wearing my glasses. Normally I wear glasses all day long, but if I take my glasses off, because everything's a little bit blurry, I'm forced to concentrate on shape, really. And I think when painting like this, it really helps, ironically, in terms of just looking at the essentials. Well, that's not quite the colour I was after. I need that to be a little bit darker, I think. Maybe even a hint of brown in this leaf on the underside. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to click like, leave a comment, let me know which floral you'd love to see next in this technique, and subscribe. Does it need another leaf? There is one sort of poking through. Just add it there. Lovely. Okay, and now we're going to sort it. The last one I think is this one, which is lovely deep magenta. Let's take a look at the formation of this branch. Okay, so I'm going to pop, because I don't like to leave too much negative space on a sketchbook page, pop one there, another one here. I just, you know, you can see this kind of arc happening, but that's just a little bit too formal for me, let's say. So I'm going to spread it out a bit. Put one maybe here. And one here, and I can pop a little one in there. I think I'm going to mix it with a bit of that opera rose, because you can see different. This one needs a bit of work. I don't want it to be kind of like one solid colour. I like to see a little bit of variation. This is a little bit too solid. It's just suggestions of petals. Okay, now let's sort those stems out. I would say it comes from this one here. It kind of bend round like that. I am going to drop in a dark green in a little bit. Oh, that's a little bit thick. I think I pushed down a little bit too hard with the brush. Let's just dab that watercolour off and try again. I think that goes a little bit further down. It comes up from about here. That's better. And this one comes from, this bends like so, and this one comes from about here. Well, oh, almost forgot this one on the right, left even. Oh, very heavy-handed at the moment. No, I don't think it joins it there. It joins it a little bit further up, more like that. That's all right. Just rub that out. It's as it's wet, it's fine. Right, let's just drop a few different other colours in here so we get a little mixture happening with the greens. And I prefer to just let the greens mix on the page. I think it's one of the joys of watercolour. It really is. You can roughly understand, if you've been using watercolours for a little while, what probably will happen, but you can never tell exactly what's going to happen. And I don't mind. I like these little surprises. No, I'm not copying exactly what's going on. It's just these chrysanthemums are here for inspiration, really. And I think people get too caught up on trying to copy exactly, and then they get frustrated, and I'd rather not go there. Are we done? I think this stem here needs a little bit of yellow. And a few leaves, actually. Yeah, some of these definitely need a few little leaves. There we go. And there. And let's say there's something happening here. Then I think I might, even though there isn't a leaf here, I want to fill this white space there. One other thing that I don't like, I just want to fill the white space, is this area here. I'm just going to pop a single, maybe this colour just here. Some of these are still a little bit wet. I can drop in a bit of pigment. Love watching them mix. Okay, go back to this one. I got a little bit sidetracked. And get a yellow and green mixed for this. And yeah, it's just basically going straight down. Is that a pop of blue green just on this side here where it's in shadow, a suggestion of a little leaf, and a bigger one there maybe. do think it would help if I added a, you know what, if I added a pale pink floral just here, I think. Or if it was like a bud, actually. Yeah, that's probably a good, better idea. I'm just making this up. Yeah. Oh, actually, since I'm doing buds, let's just pretend this one's got a bud too. Now we've reached this stage where the watercolour has to dry. If we tried to apply ink now, it would just go everywhere and make a horrible soggy mess. So let's give this a few minutes and then we'll apply the expressive essential ink next. If you're enjoying these techniques and want to dive deeper, be sure to check out my Skillshare class, Organic Expressive Florals. In this class, I take you through these methods in much more detail with 3 full-length demos that guide you step by step. Plus, I'm offering a special deal to subscribe to Skillshare in the description below, so you can join this class and start creating your own expressive florals today. These are the 2 different applicator for the inks. This is the dip pen with the Browser Blue Pumpkin nib, and you have to use that with ink like this. And this is my Sailor fountain pen. And I've had this for quite a while, but I haven't found an ink that I've liked. This is a black ink. And the ink that I use for this fountain pen now is platinum carbon ink. And I wish I'd discovered this earlier. It's got a special nib. You can just see there. It's got a flat tip like that, so it can create lines like that. But it can also create fairly thin lines, like so. And I'm just going to show you how this blue pumpkin behaves. If I can get this ink open. So let's pop it in there and I'll show you the variety of lines this makes. Whoops, pop it in a bit more. It is going to take a little bit of getting used to if you're not used to using dip pen. This is just printer paper that I'm showing you. And if you press down hard on the nib, you can vary the lines. If I'm not pressing down, I'm just literally pulling the nib over the paper. It does this. The thing with the dip pen is you do have to keep popping it into the ink, and it does take a little bit of getting used to. I'm just going to quickly do a few sketches with these. Just going to do a quick version of this flower, just using ink line, just, you know, little test, just to show you. And I've been using these since college, well, since I was actually Art Foundation in England, so since I was 18, and I'm just really used to it. But if you're not, it is definitely a good idea to practice, just understanding how the ink flows out and the pressure that you have to use, and different inks might behave a little differently. So that's a quick version. And now we're going to use the fountain pen. Just going to draw exactly the same flower. One of the great things with the fountain pen is you don't have to keep dipping it in the ink, obviously. And I have had many questions about, oh, can you use a fountain pen? And I always say, yeah, you just use whatever you have. You don't have to go out and buy new stuff. But until now, I haven't found a fountain pen that worked. And for a little time when I first got this, I didn't really like it. But I've gotten used to this. I took this on holiday with me, and it is very convenient. So let's try doing the painting now. I think for this floral on the left, I'm going to start off with my dip pen and ink. This process does stump some people, especially if they're not familiar with my work or what's included in my book. And I call it essential ink because I only want to add minimum lines, and people often go down the route of outlining the whole thing. It might make more sense to outline, but I don't have time for that, in all honesty. So I look for the darkest areas, the areas of contrast really, and where like this section here, I'm missing you know, a pink there, so I add that. And you know, I'm kind of I still haven't got my glasses on, and I'm squinting, and if you can see, all I'm doing is adding some lines. That's the only way I can describe it really. It's not everything, just enough to tell the story is what I talk about in my Skillshare class. See, so this stem here is a little bit thin, so what I'm going to do is just extend it out by using my ink line, maybe a tiny bit pink, but also there's a tiny leaf on the side, so I'm just going to add that using the ink. So I think the ink gives us an opportunity, a second opportunity to add information. It's not so I'm just, you know, we just put in a green area, but I'm now using ink to provide the brain with a little bit more information to help it to understand, and also to identify it as a chrysanthemum. Okay, I really hope that's kind of making sense. It's not accurate. What I'm doing is not accurate. It's very impressionistic. I get remarks, comments on various YouTube videos saying, oh, you're just so loose and free and fun. And I think that's maybe why people enjoy my work, and because they have a tendency to be perfectionists maybe, or to overcomplicate their watercolors. I don't know, you know, people have different reasons, but part of this is you know, I don't really have time to add tons of details and I'm probably a little bit too lazy. Sorry, so there's a massive green here, and I would prefer it if there was a little bit more definition. So I'm just giving it an extra bit of line in there. While we're here, let's do this one. I think for this chrysanthemum in the middle, I am going to use the fountain pen, and let's see what results we get. I'm not used to using black, but just going to give it a go. I've noticed one of these petals twist. I am trying, sorry, that's my kids upstairs, it's the summer holidays. I'm trying to make this fountain pen as thin as possible at the moment. I'm finding it a little bit tricky. It's not a huge problem, but I'm going to just change the angle of the nib to get a slightly thicker line now. Okay, and there's a petal that comes out here. I don't want to add too much. The black is quite a lot for me, I think. So if we're looking at areas of contrast, it's definitely where the petals go down into this lower area here. I don't know what this part of the plant's called. There's another leaf that's turning over here. I might just leave it there actually, and I'll just give this stem a tiny boost there and give a little bit more information to this leaf to make it a bit more distinctive. Okay, and now let's do this one as well. If you are interested in this technique, I do have a book called Go With The Flow Painting, which has a rundown of this loose watercolour and ink technique. It explains the process with lots of warm-up exercises, and there are also some other projects based on food and also animals and transport, and at the back we've got some florals, so check out this book. It's available on Amazon and any other bookstores. Both the English version and French version of my book Go With The Flow Painting is available through all online booksellers and Amazon. I'm going to give you a link in the description below. Let's have a quick look at this chrysanthemum on the left, which I inked up using the Winsor & Newton and the dip pen. You can see that it's still drying because there's quite a lot of quantity of ink on that one, and if you look closely, there's quite a variety of different line happening. It's very thin and then it goes very thick, and if there's a lot of ink that's been put down, when it does eventually dry, even though I've used brown ink, it will almost look black. And these chrysanthemums on the right hand side of the sketchbook were done with the fountain pen, and I am still getting used to this fountain pen. You can create thick and thin lines, but not quite to the extent. There's a very uniform coloured line. I know I'm using black ink, and I would prefer it if there was a slightly thinner line as well. The thick line I really like. Let's take a look at this one. You don't have to dip it into the ink, which is great. And you know, there's some lovely things happening in here. I really, really like it. It's terribly convenient, obviously, for travel. But overall, you know, it has both of these, dip pen and the fountain pen, have its advantages and disadvantages. And I don't want to persuade people to use either or. I learnt how to use a dip pen very early on, and the fountain pen came much later on. I hope you've enjoyed this video.